The
The
Skull
Skull
Crawlers,
Crawlers.
and we ask you to suspend disbelief, the show where we invite you to open your mind and expand your horizons as we discuss the paranormal, taboo, and otherwise mysterious occurrences in our universe. On tonight's pod, we have a very special guest. We have Katie Hightower. Hi, Katie.
Hey, what's up, my guys?
Oh, just hanging out, just chilling. How are you?
Chilling, killing.
Oh, I can't really complain. It's a Monday and I made it through. I think we're almost there. So,
Well, it is spooky season, guys. We made it to October. Have you guys watched any good scary movies yet?
so I have a whole calendar that I'm working off of this year,
Mhm.
and I've watched a couple like really good classics. So, like, I haven't watched anything new yet.
What are some classics that you've seen?
So we did Halloween, did Dawn of the Dead, 78 and 2004.
Nice.
Which one do you
And
think is
then
better?
Oh, that's a mean question because like I feel like I'm emotionally attached to 2004 because it
Let's
came out when
go,
I was in high
baby.
school.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
I definitely have an attachment to that one as well.
Yeah.
When I was, I think, 13, my dad took me and my brothers to go see it in the theaters, and it was like for us, like the hype of the zombie craze for us, and that was right after we discovered the zombie movies and stuff. The original Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, Return of the Living Dead, which still scares the crap out of me somehow. And yeah, that one came out. Seeing it in its full glory, seeing zombies run for the first time. Holy
Oh, yeah,
cow,
yeah.
that scared the crap out of me.
mhm.
Yeah, I love that one a whole lot. I haven't seen the original Dawn of the Dead in a long time. I need to watch it. I might have to add it to my list this spooky season.
I like the original too, but like the remake, of course, special place because saw it when I was like 13 or whatever. But the original, I feel like it just meanders like towards the end. Like I kind of like lose interest when the Tom Savini and the Barker gang show up. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's like an hour or 20 minutes too long. But
That's kind of how I felt about The Substance. I did just recently watch The
oh
Substance,
yeah,
and I felt like it was just a little bit too long. Like it would have been really great had they cut out about like 20, 30 minutes. So,
yeah, yeah. I've heard good things about that from various people, and it's very body horror, like gruesome
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, there's like really great elements to it. It reminded me a lot of like watching like a Cronenberg film. So
Mm, sick. I'll check it out.
Right on. I finally just watched Smile for the first time.
What?
hell yeah.
Ooh, that
That
one
one
rocked
rules.
my world. That was so much
Yeah.
fun. I didn't know what I was going into
Mm,
when I started watching it. Just other than everybody saying that it's awesome, so I'm like, okay,
yeah.
so we'll see. But to me, it was marketed in a way that was like catered towards teenagers, kind of like the Truth or Dare type movie. That I was like, like the cheesy smile thing that's been done a
Yeah.
million times. But it was kind of reinventive in a way.
Mm,
It was its own thing. It was like very much like The Ring or It Follows, but it did everything very well. The scares were very effective, and the story was good. It was
had
fine.
a cool
It was a good movie.
tropical effect at the end.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
awesome. I was
that,
that rock,
yeah.
dude. Yeah, that whole end sequence was pretty awesome. I was
Mhm.
all about that, and the ending too. I was like, holy smokes!
Yeah.
That's how you end a movie. That was a good one.
I'm
Right.
stoked for the second one.
Me too. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if like I don't know, it kind of feels like it's gonna actually deliver and be just as good, if not better, as the first one.
Yeah.
But, knock on wood, who knows? But
Yeah, I'm curious, like in terms of like the story or the curse, like what does that mean if like when you add it to like a pop star who's seen by millions of people, like what does that mean for
right.
yeah.
Like what's gonna happen? Like if
Yeah,
they see
exactly.
her die, like is that just gonna infect like the entire world's population?
Yeah, I didn't know. I watched a couple of reviews on it today because I do that after I watch a good movie. I'm like, I want to see what everybody else is talking about this movie. And most of the time, it's like, this is the worst movie ever. I'm like, I kind of liked it, but most of the time, people like Smile. But apparently, the guy who made it, it was a short film first
Mm.
that made it to I think Fantastic Fest in 2020, and then it got seen by the right people and made it to a whole feature film. The whole thing and its short concept was kind of just stretched out into a feature length film, which now that I think about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I could definitely see that. Similar to like Lights Out by David Sandberg.
Okay, yeah.
Similar where it's just like, okay, this was a short film, you can kind of tell, and they stretched it out into like a bigger movie, but it didn't necessarily make it better. But
Mm.
I haven't seen the short film that Smile is based off of yet, but it looked pretty good. The girl in the beginning, I think, is the actress who plays in the short film. Her name's Laura.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the short film's called like Laura Can't Sleep or something like that. So I thought it's cool that they at least brought her back to be the first victim and Smile. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty darn cool. And of course, I love a good success story. Like, you make a short film that's good enough just with a good concept.
And you get to make it. They give you money to make it.
That's the dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's what I want. Is that too much to ask for? Let's talk about your movies, Katie. So what got you into filmmaking, and what was your journey like getting your first feature film made? Which everybody,
Sure.
she just had her first feature film come out this year called Hailey's Game, and it's doing a festival thing right now. It's very
Yeah.
cool.
Man, it's been a real journey. Like I think that like I was always interested in film. My parents they met at a movie theater in the 70s. They worked at like a United Artists theater, so like
Nice.
they raised me watching movies that probably I shouldn't have been watching, like at the age that I was watching them, but whatever, it's fine. So I grew up with like a really healthy interest in like narrative storytelling, and I kind of pivoted in college and I did a little bit of like fiction writing and I published a novel. And then after that, I kind of like pivoted again back into like the short film zone and started
Mm.
making like little web series with my friends. And then I made this other web series because our first one we really loved, and then we immediately made the second season, and the bug kind of bit us, and we were like, we want to do it again, but we have no money.
Mm-hmm.
um and so we ended up making this silly little web series called Hailey's Game. And it was just like this 28-page short film that we shot in like 12 hours. And I don't know, it did relatively well when we put it online. Like it didn't have like massive amount of success. I mean, there's not like millions of views on it or anything, but um I kind of took a break from filmmaking for a little bit, and I lost a family member, and I was sort of like exploring my own grief, and I felt like the Haley's Game story wasn't done, and so I started writing the feature, and I went and talked to my brother about it, and he was like, "Hey, like this is actually really good." We had initially only planned to do like another web series. And
Mm-hmm.
when he read the script, he's like, "Actually, this kind of reads like a feature. Do you want to do a feature?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, all of us want to do a feature." Um, and through like this weird kismet situation, like we were able to sort of get like this incredible DP attached to this, and he brought like this wonderful team, and we threw $20,000 of our own money behind it, and then we made it. And now it's kind of doing the rounds at festivals, like you said, and it's just been like a really fun, incredible journey that I'm super grateful for and hope that I get to do again one day.
That's sweet. I mean, yeah, that's the dream, is like you can
Yeah.
make your own feature film. And we've thrown around the idea, we really didn't even start until about 2020.
Mhm.
Even though we kind of made a really bad short film a couple years before that.
Called Sightings. You could find it, but don't look
No,
for it. But you can
yeah,
find it.
I'm gonna find it.
Yeah, you'll find
no,
it.
no. But yeah, we've thrown around the idea of doing, wanting to do a feature for many years. And our first like festival short film was called The Writer's Room, and it was an anthology short film, and it was a lot of fun. And we're like, well, we could probably stretch this out into a feature, but do we want to do that? It'd be very much VHS like,
Yeah.
or Trick or Treat esque, and which would be fine. But I don't know. Like I'm just a huge sucker for retro horror, nostalgia horror, anything from the 70s and 80s. And so if I could just make my own retro just feature film the way that I wanted it to, man, that would be so rad. So I'm speaking it to existence. It's going to happen in a couple of years, even if
Yeah,
we
we'll
had
do
to
it.
pay out of pocket for it or whatever. But right now we're just kind of having a good time telling some good stories in whatever medium we want. You
Mm.
actually, Katie, you said you stepped away from writing fiction, and that's something that I'm kind of dipping my toes into right now, because honestly, like I, as a parent, I've got two kids under 3, and it's impossible for me to get out and shoot short films right now. So I'm like, well, what can I do in the meantime? Podcasting really isn't very much of an option right now because uh, I'm exhausted all the time, and my only free time is after like 9 o'clock right now. So, but I think we'll try to make it work. But I've been writing some short stories, some horror, and I'm pitching them to publishers and stuff like that. So I'm hopefully going to get a little bit of money here and there from that, and kind of stay creative and kind of pursue my storytelling in that way for now. And then when I can get back into filmmaking, do that.
Yeah. No, that sounds like that's a badass plan, dude. Like I read somewhere Stephen King said that like sharpening the tools, right? Like you're always sharpening the tools. So it doesn't matter like what you're writing, it just matters that you're writing.
So, Katie, I got a question for you. I like to ask this to every creative we have, but like, what's the like pie in the sky, like pipe dream? Like, if you could create your own thing or create your own movie, or what would you want, like, adapt? Like, you work on it.
Ooh, like what would I want to adapt? My
Yeah.
God. Um, so I have not watched this yet. I have not heard great things about it. But I know that they just recently adapted Salem's Lot, and
I
like
watched
it's
it.
okay. What?
It's okay. Sorry, I'll let you continue, and then I'll talk about Salem Slot.
Okay. If I had to pick, because that's my favorite Stephen King novel, I feel like I could do that. I could do it justice. I could do it right. I would not do just like I would not do just like a movie. I feel like I would do a limited series. But like again, Mike Flanagan kind of did that already with Midnight Mass, like, and it's perfect. So like I don't really want to go in that direction, but I do. I want to go there so bad.
You took the words right out of my mouth. Salem's Lot is my favorite Stephen King novel as well, and I watched the movie. My hopes have just went like this over the past couple of years after it got shelved, and I was like, well, I guess this movie's never coming out. And you could just, when you watch it, you can just see producer notes written all over it, and you're like, ugh. And you could just see that there's some way longer version out there that probably is so good, but we got the 90-minute version, and it's like it's fine. But I did really enjoy it. They switched some things up that made it cooler to see, but as far as like the story goes, there's not a whole lot there for character development, or even just like getting to know the characters. But the vampires, dude, cool as heck. Oh my gosh.
Okay. Oh
You
hell
got to
yeah.
watch it. Barlow's pretty cool. Then again, I don't think he was that cool in the 79 version either. So I think he's about the same. I was like, yeah, he's fine. And the book is awesome. But I still recommend it. You should watch it. It's a good, fun vampire movie that has a lot of rewatchability because it's fun. It's one of those you can just put on, sit with some friends or family, and just watch it and be like, that was a good time.
Okay. My wife doesn't like scary movies. Do you think that she could make it through?
Yeah, absolutely. My wife's the same. We watched Salem's Lot, and she had a good time.
Okay.
It's not too spooky. It's not too gory. What's his name? Glick, the Glick kid. He does. Spoiler alert. Get killed. I might edit that out. But like he's got to crack a couple eggs, to make an omelet. So, yeah, it's fun. It's good. But like you said, I don't know if anybody should do another adaptation of it, because Midnight Mass is perfect. You could see the Salem's Lot inspiration written all in the show, and it was just done perfect, and nothing could ever be done any better than that. So if you guys want to see a Salem's Lot adaptation done really well, go watch Midnight Mass on Netflix by Mike Flanagan. Everything he does is gold. So go check it out.
Everything. Oh wait, so I have a question. Speaking of Mike Flanagan, have you seen Oculus?
No.
Okay, highly recommend that you check out Oculus. So this is like one of those that we were just talking about where like a short film did really well and then he was finally able to make the feature. It took him a couple of years, but like Oculus was his first short film that went, I think it went to either like, I think it's Fantastic Fest that it went to, but it did super well on the festival circuit. And then he was finally able to make like that full length feature version of it. And like, to be completely honest, like as far as Mike Flanagan's work is concerned, like this is probably like lower tier for me, but it's still so freaking good as far as like an entry into like the horror genre, just because it's cool as shit.
What was the pipeline for, like, what was it like? It was Oculus and then Hush, and then he got everything else, right?
I think so. I think it was Oculus and then Hush. I think prior to Oculus being made into a feature, he was able to do like a crowdfunding for his original his indie Absentia. which that one it's decent. Like, it's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
like his body of work, like if I could get one person in the world coffee, like for the rest of my life, like it
Yeah.
would just be Mike Flanagan. I'd be like, sir, do you need coffee again? Because it's me. I got you.
I still feel like he hasn't even hit his prime yet. Like he's just now building momentum
Mhm.
to get these big name IPs. And
Mm-hmm.
I still haven't seen Doctor Sleep, and that's because I'm waiting. I'm making my way through Stephen King's bibliography, and
Okay.
so it's on the list of books to read and then watching the movie. But I mean, all of his miniseries I've enjoyed, and of course Hush was incredible. I only made it halfway through the Ouija origin movie. I still need to
No.
finish that one, but from what I've seen of it, it's pretty good.
It's
But
all
anyway,
right. Like I would put that like on the lower end of the spectrum for his films, but like still good.
Yeah.
cool. Right on. Well, some question I like to ask all of our guests is, what movie as a kid scarred you and gave you nightmares? Was there a
Fuck.
movie like that?
Gremlins. It
Gremlins.
it was
Yes.
Gremlins. I think I saw it when I was like 5. And like from 5 to 9, like I was convinced that there were gremlins in my closet and that if I fell asleep, they would in fact kill me. So like I do feel bad for my parents because there were multiple nights where I was like, there are gremlins in my closet. But yeah, no, that one, The Last Unicorn really kind of fucked me up. Um,
Oh.
I haven't seen
that
that.
one
Oh,
that one
yeah.
scared me. It's like it's animated classic from like the 1980s with it's I don't know. There was like a fiery bowl and like a really scary like witch and I was just over it. Like I couldn't handle that.
Right on. Mine, of course, I've mentioned it on the show a couple times, is Leprechaun. But also the It miniseries, since we're on Stephen King thing, that was the movie that I remember watching and it scared the crap out of me. And I had to show all my friends at school. So we're in like 6th grade, and my house was the cool house to come and like stay the night at. And so it's like, all right, everybody, we're watching a scary movie, and word on the street is that this is the scariest movie ever. And so we put it in, and we're making all our friends watch it. And it's cheesy, the carnival music, the effects, everything like that. But when it gets down to it, it's still so terrifying because of Tim Curry's performance. And
Mm-hmm.
still, it's one of those, like, when I hear the creepy, out of tune clown music, I still like get the chills. I'm like, oh god. Or if I see a drain when it's raining outside, I'm still like, I'll go around the street so I don't have to walk near it.
We
Yeah, mine
just
was. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I want to know what yours is.
Okay,
Please tell
mine
me.
was Crypt Keeper from Tales from the Crypt. Anytime I heard like the theme song or heard his laugh, I got freaked out and cried.
Oh no.
Carrie, you're froze.
I know, Carrie's gone. What happened?
I don't know.
What do we do? We took my puppy for a walk earlier tonight and it was dark already and
Mm.
we were walking past the storm drain and we heard something like scurry through the storm drain. And my wife, of course, like stops and she hands me the leash and I'm like, "Oh, brother." And so like she turns the light on and she looks back at me and I'm like, "Don't look back at me. That's when it's like gonna come out and get you."
Yeah.
She looks back at me. She's like, "This goes against everything I ever like believed in as a child." And like she shines this light down there. We don't know what was down there. Probably a rat, but
Yeah,
it was the moment. I was like, "Man, it can't end this way.
yeah.
It
You
just can't."
can't watch all the horror movies and then investigate and like that's how you get got.
I know. Well, it's because she doesn't watch them. She doesn't know the
That's true.
rules.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll watch like Final Destination or, like things that aren't like
Is it like
deeply
all the like
scary.
outlandish stuff?
Yeah.
Like is it like so she won't watch stuff that like she's convinced can be real or happen?
Yeah. So it's like no like big jump scare type
Mm.
stuff or like no really gory things. Like she'll do like a slasher. Like she went with me and my brother to go see Halloween and
Mm.
then like but beyond that it's like nah.
Yeah.
She didn't do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, my wife can do. I mean, she loves horror movies,
Mm-hmm.
but like jump scares, like get her like extremely. So when we haven't been watching horror movies, I've been playing like video games, like horror video games, and she watches.
Okay.
So we played. I don't know if you heard of them, but there's these games called Art Pictures Anthology, but
No.
they're like horror movies, but you like make choices and you control the people in them.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah. So like you can like there's like one where it's these five people are in a mansion and it's modeled after H.H. Holmes.
Okay.
So you have to survive the mansion, whatever. But like
Yeah.
they're like traps, like saw traps and whatever. It's like it's very scary, like very atmospheric. But halfway through she just had to stop and I just had to play the whole thing because we would take turns like playing.
She was done.
Yeah, yeah.
She was done. She was over it.
Yeah, because there's a ton of jump scares in that. I think horror movies don't scare me for whatever reason. Like I view it from kind of like analytical, like, oh yeah, that's cool effect. But like video games for whatever reason just scare me.
Hmm.
I think it has to do with like the interactivity or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, like, if you can, like, again, like, suspend your disbelief, right? And
Mm,
like, then you're basically you're in the game
yeah,
and you're living it, and so I feel like those things that hop out and like scare you, I feel like they're so much more real. I this is dumb. I played Alien Isolation, and
I just started playing that.
I
I
would
didn't get to
like,
the scare yet, but
bro, it's so bad. Like I would turn all my lights off so that like I was just like in front of the television, and
just
so like
scream, just
I just felt like I was in it,
yeah,
and like the jump scares and that are so fucking bad. Like, and
yeah,
I would be screaming. Like, this is back when I lived by myself, and so I was
mm,
just like playing Alien Isolation, screaming by myself in the living room, probably terrifying my neighbors. But that one's good. I like
yeah.
that one.
Okay, because I started playing it the other night for like maybe an hour, and it was slow that first hour, and
Mm-hmm.
then we went to bed, and she's been wanting to watch me play it, and yeah, I just because I told her like, yeah, the main like thing of the game is like the alien follows you, so it like watches what you do, and you have to hide from it, and
Yeah.
she was like, oh, that's so scary. I was like, I know.
Yeah, and well, and like that algorithm, that AI, like it starts to learn and predict your movements, and that feels wrong.
Yeah, that's I don't know how to feel about that.
I just started playing, I'm really late to the game, but I started playing The Last of Us.
Oh yeah.
And I finished the first game, and I moved on to the second game, and the second game has given me so much trouble because I I have a really hard time. I don't care if people die, like people can die all day long and I'm good,
Yeah.
but like the animal death in the
Mm.
second one, like just it like wrecks me every single time it happens. And so I've been like it's been like 6 months and I'm still on like the first part of The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, we were watching. Have you seen Drag Me to Hell?
Yeah, yeah.
We were watching that last night, and I forgot there's a scene where she kills the cat, and my wife was just upset.
I just watched it was on Saturday. We did a short film like 2 days ago and we
Mm,
wrapped on Friday night, but we were at the wrap party talking to my DP and we were goofing around with him and he
mm.
told us that he had been in a Lifetime movie and we were like, no way. And so
What?
we watched that Lifetime movie. Well, this evil bitch in this Lifetime movie kills this cat and buries him in the garden. And I was like, you did not warn me that Tigger was gonna die. I'm out.
What did I just walk into? I'm just kidding. Hey, sorry guys. Yeah, my computer crashed. It's still recording, is what I see that. Sweet.
Oh, okay,
All right.
cool.
I am back in. Okay, so continue. Where were we? Sorry.
Oh yeah, we were talking about childhood trauma. Um, I said
Oh
Crypt
boy.
Keeper. Crypt Keeper, scariest thing, and then I was about to bring up video games. We talked a little about video games while you were gone, but there's a horror game called Clock Tower, and in it, the like killer, it has just like a giant pair of scissors. And I saw that when I was a kid at my cousin's house. They were playing, and he just pops up on screen, and like music like blares. I run out of the house, run back to my house because they live down the street, like full blown, like terrified. Like I just run out
Oh,
of the house and go back home.
that
That's great.
that would probably have lived with me as well. I've
Yeah.
So let's talk some paranormal stuff. So where do you guys, Katie, where do you sit as far as the paranormal? Are you a believer? Are you skeptic? Where are you?
I'm definitely a believer. It's I've seen too many things, I've heard too many things to just not be. I think
Can
we're
you
definitely not alone.
give us an example of something that you've seen, something that gave you the creeps, the heebie-jeebies, as they say?
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into it.
So I think I was a freshman in high school, or I was
Okay.
just about to be, and we had moved from the Dallas Fort Worth area back to this town called Midland, Texas. Kind of the asshole of Texas, if you will. And
Very nice.
my parents had bought this old house, and we were like just sort of unpacking. Like it had not been long. We had a dog, and my dad went to work. My mom went to work, summer day. Like I'm by myself, 14 years old, like invincible because I'm 14.
This is already the start of like every haunted house movie. So this is great. I love it. Yeah. Here we go.
So this house was split level, but it was just like a loft upstairs. So they weren't like individual rooms, just a loft upstairs. And then the way that the house was sort of designed was that the stairs came down into like sort of this sunroom where like we had our TV and like our couches and stuff, and then the backyard was like right there. So I'm like watching TV as you do when you're 14 years old by yourself, like on a summer day, just laying on the couch, like not going outside because I was not one of those children that did that. And I could hear someone walking down the stairs. And I am straight up by myself, home alone. And this was not like an old creaky house. This was like a house that was built in like maybe the late 80s, early 90s, like. And so I just kind of like perk up, and I was like, that made me feel really uncomfortable. And so I called my best friend, and I'm like, hey, can you come over? Like landline to landline.
I was wondering. I was like, what kind of phone did you
Oh yeah,
use?
landline phone.
You're like dealing.
Right. Like
You're messing with the cable. You're like, oh god, please come here now.
yes, I was pulling like the little antenna up so that I had like better reception. And she had an orthodontist appointment or some shit like that. I don't know what it was, but her dad was like, I'll bring her by afterwards. And I was like, cool. So how long do I have to like survive in this house by myself? Turns out it was 90 minutes. And every minute that went by was horrifying. So I get off the phone with them. I'm sitting there. Our dog's like laying there with me, just sort of at the base of my feet. And all of her hackles raise up. And I mean, like, all of them. And she just starts like this super low growl. And I was like, what is happening? I can't hear anything. Like, nothing's going on. And then I hear like stomping. Like, there is stomping going down the stairs. Like, I'm not imagining this. This is not,
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
not crazy. And so, like, I don't know what to do. Like, 14-year-old pea brain that's like not developed at all. Like, I don't even know if I know what to do as an adult. But, you know, like, I'm just sort of sitting there. So I like run to the garage and like hang out in the garage for a minute, and then I come back and it's like kind of quiet, and then Stacy's dad drops her off and she's there and we're both sitting there, and I'm like, this is not going to happen with her here. It won't happen. I swear it won't happen. Well, it did in fact happen again multiple times, and like it just sounds like someone is literally marching up and down the stairs, back and forth, and like we go check, like, because at 14, like if there's two of you, like you're definitely not going to die. So like we peek around the stairs, nothing is happening. And so no one really knows what's going on. So she and I just like leave, because she lived like 2 blocks away. So we just took the dog and like left the house. And I don't really think about it again, you know, moving forward for like another 5-6 months. But the dog is like super obsessed with something in the backyard, like just one spot. Just dead ass. Every time she goes outside, just goes straight back to that one spot over and over and over and over and over again. And we were just kind of like, something dead back here. Like, what's happening? And my parents had a pool put in a few years later. And so they dug up our backyard. Don't worry, there wasn't a body.
Oh man, I was hoping that we'd have a poltergeist ending right here.
Right? Like, honestly, like, same. Like I was a little disappointed, like when they like dug the backyard up and there was nothing back there. But I swear to God, you guys, like there were always strange noises in that back half of the house. Like we could hear people screaming, like we would hear people walking up and down the stairs. It was so creepy. I hated that fucking house. I was so glad when we moved.
Wow.
Wow. Ugh.
Yeah. No thanks.
Yeah, there's something about footsteps, like ghost phantom footsteps, that just scare the crap out of you. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Especially when you're alone and you just, have the, false sense of security, like, oh yeah, I'm alone, nothing's gonna happen, and then
Yeah. Yep. Just like full body chills right now. And
Yeah.
now I live in a house with stairs and I'm just like, it's never gonna happen to me again. Please don't happen to me again. Like
No
it
more
can't
stairs.
possibly be me, right? Like it had to be the house.
Wow. Spooky stuff.
Yeah.
Spooky stuff.
So yes, I do believe. I do. Do you guys have like any cool, like weird paranormal stories?
I wish. Nothing's like, I'm definitely I'm older, I guess Scully. It's like I nothing's happened to me, but I want to believe and I want to witness something just so I know that it's real. Like I know Carrie believes, I'm like 80-20, and my wife, they're a medium, like they're very tuned in to paranormal stuff, and like nothing just happens to me. Like I'm around
he's
it,
the
but nothing
farthest
happens.
thing from being sensitive to the supernatural
Yeah.
that there is. And I feel bad for him because he just wants to see it.
Yeah.
Like he just wants to believe, but he can't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fair. So you're like the full Mulder.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Because like I've messed, like my wife and I, we messed with like dowsing rods, and like when people, and Carrie, we've messed with them too. Like when you like hold them, like cross, and they're tuned like certain energies. Mine just stay stiff, like they don't move at all. Like when I hold them.
Oh.
I have witnessed that.
Yeah.
It's very strange because theoretically they should at least move a little
Like
bit
gust of wind
for
or something.
anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. But for him, man, yeah, I don't know. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
And then I do it and they're just spinning all around. I'm like, oh gosh.
Interesting.
He's got a big
I
head
wonder what
and
that means.
refuses to believe anything he can't see, I think is what it is. I don't know.
All
No,
right,
I don't
fair.
know. I don't know, to be honest. I couldn't tell you. But as far as supernatural things that have happened to me, yeah, I've definitely, of course, I've had my fair share of sleep paralysis and stuff like that. And there is part of me that believes that is there's a spiritual aspect to that, as well as, a scientific explanation for pretty much most things that happen. But I do think that the spiritual aspect of it is something that you can't really explain. And if you just don't believe it, then I don't know, then you don't believe it. But yeah, I think if you're open to spiritual things happening to you, they're going to happen a whole lot more. But like a handful of things have definitely happened to me, and sometimes things happen to me and I'm just like, you know what, I'm going to pretend like that didn't happen because I don't have the energy right now to really think about that, and if I think about it too much, I'm going to scare the crap out of myself. So but yeah, nothing like, I've never seen a ghost per se, but yes, there is one thing supernatural that I saw. And this is actually like a Christian thing. I grew up pretty religious and I went on mission trips and all that stuff. And this particular mission trip that I went on when I was 18, might have been 19. It was called the Burn Wagon, and it was about worship and intercession, and it was a bunch of like teenagers and young 20 somethings, mostly musicians, and that were like steadfast for the Lord, worshiping, intercession, praying and stuff like that, prayer warrior type stuff. And we all hopped in a couple vans and we went out west. We went down to El Paso, and we went on the border of Juarez, and we did ministry with some Hispanic folks down there. And then we went out to Vegas a couple days later, and that's where I saw something very strange. And I wouldn't necessarily call myself a traditional Christian. I'm kind of in a place right now where I am exploring my culture and trying to figure out how that fits in with my belief of God and Jesus and all of that stuff. But I cannot deny the fact that I've seen some crazy things in church because I grew up non-denominational. It was very much like Pentecostal, praying in tongues, laying hands on people, then falling back, doing the whole thing, And I've seen miracles. I've seen what looked like possessions and stuff like that. Then I'm like, this person's just crazy, right? I don't know. But we were in Las Vegas and it was my night to lead worship. And so we're on the strip, and there's about 20 of us. And then we met with some other missionaries that were stationed in Las Vegas. And they came out with us, and they were kind of like our hosts for the city. And they're walking us around, showing us things and talking about how much sin there is in Sin City. And we're like, yeah, let's pray against the
it's in the
sin.
name.
And so we're praying and we're worshiping and stuff like that. And literally it's hundreds of people, thousands of people walking by, and I've got a guitar and a microphone, a karaoke microphone or whatever, and I'm leading worship, and I did not want to be doing this right here in front of all these people because I don't know, it's just very uncomfortable. Everybody's looking at you and like walking by and like, what are these guys doing? Like, I'm just trying to, see some strippers and give all my money away.
Drink on the street.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're praying, and finally my like 20 minutes is up, and I hand somebody the guitar. I'm like, okay, I'm going to kind of sneak to the back and just kind of do some praying on my own while everybody's over here like dancing and praying and worshiping and stuff. And people would come by and they would just like kind of like sit in the middle of us and kind of look at us like we were just like, I don't know, playing pretend or something like that, like we're acting. And they would make fun of us and be like, hey, look, get a load of this guy or whatever. And it was just like, all right, get out of here, funny guy. Yeah, whatever. And so that happened a handful of times. And we're like, we're just going to worship through it. We're going to dance like David danced, stuff like that. And, like I said, I'm kind of in the back watching because my little prayer worship session was over, and I was sitting in the back kind of watching. And these like hard Mexican guys come in, these cholos, these straight up gangsters. They come in and they're just like making fun of everybody, and they're right in the middle of everybody. And one of the YM guys that was there, that was stationed in Las Vegas, just grabbed one of the guys and he's like, hey, do you want us to pray for you for anything? He's like, nah, man, I don't believe in none of this stuff. And he's like, are you sure? Like, have you ever met the Lord? And I couldn't really hear everything that they were saying. But at some point, the guy was like, fine, whatever. And he started praying for him. And then another guy laid hands on him. And the guy just like drops to his knees and starts bawling his eyes out. Like, I can't explain it. I've never seen anything like it. This was not planned. This was not staged. But this hard cholo is just bawling his eyes out because the Holy Spirit was doing his thing. I don't know exactly. And his friends were over there like, come on, guy, like, quit playing. Like, you're messing with these guys. And he wasn't. He just sat there and was bawling his eyes out until his friends left. And then a couple of minutes later, he finally gets up and like wipes his tears away and moves on. And then we're all just kind of looking at each other like, did that really just happen? So I can't explain it. There's a lot that I have that I don't agree with Christianity. But I cannot deny the fact that I saw that really happened. The Holy Spirit is a real thing, whether it's called the Holy Spirit in all different religions or cultures. In my culture, I don't know what it is, but there was something there. And this guy dropped to his knees, started bawling his eyes out, started repenting, and moved on his way. It was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. That qualifies as supernatural. I don't know, something paranormal about that. It was crazy. I can't explain. It was wild. Not scary, but it was definitely one of those things I was like, did I really just see that? Like, man, I don't know. And back then, to me, growing up in church, it was just like, oh yeah, miracles happen. I swear that I remember seeing people like getting prayed for, and then like their leg grew 2 inches or whatever. Or some people were healed from cancer right there in church, that stuff like that. And I'm just like, did I really see that? Or was that just kind of like the hysteria of being in church? But I know what I saw in Las Vegas, and that was real. And it was very, it gives me the heebie-jeebies thinking about it. Cause I'm like, man, we really don't know anything at all.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's a paranormal experience that I had. I know, it was wild. Oh, another thing about Las Vegas, and I don't know if it's like this anymore, but I was 19 and I was on a mission trip, and what they don't tell you when you're going to Las Vegas is that it's disgusting, and disgusting. Like, there's pictures of hookers and strippers. Sorry, what are they? We're not supposed to call them hookers anymore. We're supposed to call them
They are
something else.
sex workers.
Sex workers, yes.
Sex workers.
Yeah.
Yes, there's pictures of them, and then when you're entering the strip, there's like a group of Hispanics, immigrants, whatever, and they're hired to hand out
Trading cards.
these like trading cards
for
with
the
strippers
girls.
on them. Yeah. And I was like, what is happening?
Yeah.
But they can't legally, they can't say anything. So they're like clicking their mouths at you, like, and you're like trying to get your attention. They're trying to hand you cards. I'm like, ew, I don't know what this is. Let me grab a couple and see what this is. You're like, oh no. And they're littering the streets. So of course I got the whole collection. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's just crazy. I had never seen anything like that. My poor little Christian brain was like, oops, you know? Anyway, crazy stuff.
I went to Vegas when I was like 13 too, and I experienced that. And like they put it in my hand, and I looked at it, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a different kind of playing card, fellas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was the day I gave up Pokemon.
Oh.
Anywho.
I got a holographic diamond and a diamond holographic.
Gotta catch them all.
Oh man, yeah. You're gonna catch something if you're out there for sure.
Yeah.
Too good.
I've only been to Vegas once, and we literally just drove through it. Like, we didn't stop at all. Like, I just wanted to see what the strip looked like. We were on a cross-country road trip from Oklahoma to Oregon, and we just randomly stopped in Vegas. We're like, okay, yeah, like, let's drive the strip. Bad idea. Got stuck in traffic for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Super dumb.
Absolutely.
10 out of 10 would not repeat.
Yeah. If you get a taxi, it's just faster to walk to the other side of town and then get a taxi there. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was dumb. But we stopped at the Hoover Dam, and that I thought was
cool.
really cool.
Nice.
And like, I imagine that there's all kinds of supernatural, paranormal things that happen at the Hoover Dam, because like, you can't build something of like that size without, having a few, I feel like, casualties like along the way.
Dudes stuck in the cement, built into the dam. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Like the souls of the men that were built in the dam.
It's also where they keep the Allspark.
Yes, correct. you gotta watch out for the Allspark,
Exactly.
Wait.
Yeah, I wonder how many people died building the Hoover Dam.
I'm sure there's like
that thing is massive. I cannot believe how big that is. I was standing over it. It's like, oh my God, we built this? People built this?
Right.
My God.
It's just unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, cool beans. Katie, you got any more spooky stories?
I mean, sure.
Yeah, give us another one.
Okay. So I started making films in 2021. And we did like a couple of short films, a couple web series, and then we were like, let's see if we can do a feature. And this is a feature that we never talk about. So like I'm breaking it here. Like you guys are gonna be the first ones to hear about it. It's truly fucking terrible. Like it's probably the worst thing that I'll ever make, and I'm so proud of it. Like, but we ended up writing this horror story, this horror film. And we based it around a lot of mythology that, is native to Oklahoma, the Irish immigrants that came over and like fucked around and found out with this stupid fucking land rush. I fucking hate that shit. But like, so we decided that we were gonna go ahead and like sort of delve into this Irish folklore of like the Fae. And in researching all of this, discovered that like we weren't making shit up. Like we were actually like right in what we were doing. So we wrote this whole stupid fucking story about like these sisters that, were kind of transformed by the Fae into a succubus and, well, a shape-shifting succubus, and then also a banshee. And so, like, you have these two sisters that sort of guard this territory in rural Oklahoma, where we filmed in Minko. And
nice.
Yeah, it was super great. We had a really great friend who bulldozed his property to create our set.
Oh wow, nice.
Yeah, so it's about a group of friends who go on a camping trip and they end up in this sort of like zone that these women are guarding, these women ghosts or whatever, and they piss them off by peeing on these sacred face stones, and it just unleashes hell upon them, and like all of them, and most of them, not all of them, most of them end up dying. But while we were out there, we were doing overnights, and like
Mm.
everybody knows overnights, like they're fun,
Yeah.
whatever. These were creepy. Like we could hear voices coming from the woods. Like I mean there were coyotes that were like surrounding us, sort of like I kind of honestly, like I felt like the coyotes were surrounding us, like kind of telling us like we were not supposed to be there,
Mm.
and like letting us know to get the fuck out, because
Yeah.
like there were multiple times where like the animals on the land would act weird. um so like we were on a cattle ranch when we were filming this, my buddy's cattle ranch, and so he had bulldozed like this really small section of this cattle ranch like right by the woods so that we could have like this campsite or whatever. But with the cows, like we never knew where they'd be. Well, like it's dark as fuck out there, you can't see anything, so like if the lights aren't struck, like I mean you can't see this far in front of your face.
Mm.
And so we would like hit a light and there would be a cow like right in front of you, and they would just be like staring, like dead ass staring at you, and like you couldn't push them away, and like they would just continue to get closer and closer and closer and closer and closer. They would just encroach on wherever we were at, and it was so creepy, honestly, like truly truly creepy. But like the voice thing, like the voices were, that was weird, like to hear the voices coming through the woods, because like it's not even like a densely wooded area out there, it's just like sparse woods. But
Mm.
every single time we heard it, like I was like, we shouldn't be out here, we shouldn't be doing this.
Mm.
But yeah, so like that in and of itself was like pretty creepy. I mean, I have other creepy stories, but like it's just because like I find myself in places that I should not be. um when I was 17, we decided that we were going to go ghost hunting. It was sort of like the rise of reality television.
Mm.
And so we got into a friend of mine. She had an old Mustang, probably like 1967. Beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, right? Spoiled bitches.
Holy cow.
That's just what it was. Like so many privileged like assholes that I went to school with, because I went to private school. I was raised really religious as well. Like I went to a Christian private school my entire life, and so like we get into this girl's Mustang and we decide that we're going to go to this old house in Midland. And I honestly I can't remember what the house is named. I should remember because it's like a famous house there, but the occupants were murdered back in like 1950 something. It was either the 50s or the 70s. It's one of the prime numbers. I don't know. I failed math. But so we are like, we're gonna go out there, and like the legend is that like in the house at night you can see one light upstairs illuminate and it'll flick on and off, and that's the ghost like turning the light on and off to try and signal for help, like as she's being like reenacting her murder over and over and over again. And so we were like, well, we're gonna go out there and we're gonna see it and we're gonna record everything. Like we've got like my little like VHS camcorder, and we're like, there's like four of
Nice.
us in this Mustang. And so we get there and we're just kind of waiting. They say that it happens like at the same time the murders occurred. So it's like 1:20 in the morning. We're just sitting there, we're waiting, the car is idling. And all of a sudden, like the car just dies. And I mean like dead ass silent, like an EMP blew.
Ooh.
Holy cow.
And I was like, Jamie, your shit ass car is dead. Like, what did you do to it? Like, what's going on? She's trying to start it. And I mean, we're not even getting a chug. Like, it's just dead silent. And my friend Lauren is like, well, turn on the video camera. Like, let's record this. This is weird. And I go to turn on the camera is done. Like, it's just dead. And it had a full charge and it hadn't been on. Like, everything inside the car is getting cold.
Ooh, no.
Like cold as hell. This is June. It doesn't get cold
Weird.
in Texas in June. And like everybody is starting to freak out. And like we look up, bathroom lights flicking on and off.
No.
Bet
That's
it
awesome.
happened. And then, like, after that was done, like, the car just turned right on, so did the video camera, and man, we got the fuck out of there. We were done.
Damn, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's, like, probably the
That's a good story.
creepiest thing that, like, I've ever had that it would, like, happen to me.
Yeah. That's one of those, I mean, similar to your filmmaking story, making that feature you guys don't talk about is like, you guys definitely were asking for something, you know,
Yeah.
summoning it in some weird way. Yeah. That's crazy.
It's just a bunch of dumb white girls. Like, we just do dumb white girl shit.
Oklahoma woods are just creepy too, like just in general.
Yeah. Yeah, they are. I've been in, like, I've explored Oklahoma a little bit, and, like, I feel like there are areas that just are creepier than others. Like, we filmed that film in Minko, and we filmed it out in, like, Arcadia, and, like, both locations at night were not good. Like, they both just felt wrong. They felt creepy, and I don't know if it's because we were, like, making a creepy movie or what, but I can send you guys a link. You can watch it. I'll let you guys watch it.
I'm down. Let's do it.
You can watch our terrible one too. So
yeah.
No, you don't have to watch anything else that we've made. Oh, speaking of, I guess we could when we're plugging stuff at the end. But we got a really cool short film coming out very soon, guys, called Birthday Bash. It is our best thing yet.
Yeah.
It's gonna rock.
Let's go.
It's gonna rock. It's about this killer birthday cake monster, and he kills kids. So very Pennywise-esque, very Freddy Krueger-esque, very retro. Which, hey, it's gonna be a fun one. So we put a lot of work into this one. It's gonna be cool. So this spooky season, get ready. Get ready to get spooked.
When do we get to see it?
So October 18th, it's a Friday. It's in like a week and a half, I think. So it'll be available on YouTube.
So excited.
Yeah, and your own living rooms, guys. Yeah. And you can watch it as many times as you want.
I'm super excited. My birthday's done.
Your friends.
I don't have to be afraid anymore. Like, I can just watch it and be like, not till next year, bitches.
Exactly. Yeah, just stay out of the woods on your birthday. Exactly. Well, cool. We have some listener stories, guys, and I will go ahead and start off first. This is one of our listeners who comments a little bit on our YouTube channel, and I'm just excited that people send in their stories. We've had a couple of them over the past year or two, and they're always very interesting. And so, yeah, thank you guys for trusting us with your stories, sending them in, and keep continuing to do that because we want to know. We want to know your supernatural experiences or stories that you've heard from other people that are just good stories in general. So I'm going to go ahead and start this one off. And it's the caption is "Terrible Stories, a Long Time Coming." So we'll see. Hello, friends. I've been putting off writing this for quite some time. I think on some level I was scared to let these stories out. They're not tall tales, wishful thinking, or flights of fancy. Everything you're about to read is the unfiltered truth of what I've experienced, of what witnesses with me saw on each occasion. Yes, there's so many more than just one story where I come from. So let's set the scene. I grew up in a deeply haunted small town. For purposes of privacy, I will keep the name of the town out of these stories. However, if you're clever, you could probably find out exactly where this takes place from all the details I'll be giving you. My hometown is a small city, ranging from 4,000 to 10,000 people in total, depending on where you draw the census line. 4,000 is the number Wikipedia states, and my family is adamant that there's 10,000 people in the outer regions. This is important because it's a very small town, and often people will try very hard to mind their own business and put their heads down, even if it means pretending there isn't a danger lurking. As I've mentioned, my hometown is deeply haunted. A river flows backwards to reach this small valley that some locals suspect was made by a meteorite impact eons ago. Due to its abnormal shape, it differs greatly from the surrounding region. It's a small bowl valley tied to an east-west valley where most run north-south. If that wasn't enough, settlers who claim the valley from the Okanagan people say that the valley was inhabited prior to their arrival. We know that's not entirely true, though, from the archaeological work done in the valley's rivers and the items they found while excavating for a canal to protect the town from floods. Now, this is where you get into conspiracy territory. I'm not sure I believe the settlers myself, being a non-status Métis woman from Saskatchewan, but there is something off here, deeply wrong. And it wouldn't surprise me if the Okanagan people knew that and wouldn't fuck with the valley for this reason. The settlers claimed the valley was inhabited when they arrived. So, with that setting out of the way, let's get into some stories. Part 1, A Night to Remember. The year is 2017, and it just so happens to be my 10-year graduation anniversary. 27 years old at the time, and a few years into transition, nobody recognized me beyond close friends. I'd fully shapeshifted into an entirely different looking person. I didn't have much interest in the high school reunion, but I went anyway to shock people. The reunion was mostly uneventful and boring. I didn't spend much time hanging out afterwards, as I had plans with my best friend Tyler. Tyler is a strange guy. He's Nez Perce, and I've legitimately never met anyone so unafraid of paranormal experiences. He isn't the type for fake bravado. He simply does not get scared by anything paranormal. That fit perfectly, as I had been really getting into my witchcraft practices. I had brought a bunch of coyote teeth, yes, I know, and brought them with me into the town. We had some plans, which we didn't realize what some would describe as getting up to no good. The plan was to do another small ritual to charge up the coyote teeth with some energy. I had plans to mail the charged teeth off to friends in the U.S. who were in the same occult group as I was. I drew out the tarot spread correlating to the cards. One tooth pulled the tower, another pulled death. Thinking nothing, I placed the teeth on the cards and descended from a balcony at my brother's house where I was staying. I drew out a sword that Tyler had brought and did some sweeping motions in the backyard to gather some energy and focus it in a circle. That's when everything came unglued. First, it started small. A pack of coyotes yowling in the distance. There was a tree beside me, not too big, not too small, deciduous and probably 15 feet tall. Seemingly out of nowhere, the tree proceeded to shake from the middle of it, like some unseen being had grabbed it and shook it as hard as it could. With the tree shaking next to me, I froze. Suddenly, a hissing noise cut in, creating a static in my brain. Something was on the west side of the fence hissing at us, loudly. Then, in another instant, it was on the east side of the fence, then the north. It jumped around us, hissing from every side. In a panic, I retreated back up the steps to the balcony, sword still in hand. Then, as if out of nowhere, across the valley, a series of calls rose up that still chills my blood to this very day. The call was something you've probably heard before. It's that noise that white people do when they're trying to mock native people in a deeply racist way. However, there was no sharp cutoff like a hand being placed over a mouth. Instead, it sounded like someone making the noise by oscillating their voice from the highest pitch they can make to a low one and back quickly. I beg you not to try this at home, dear listener, as that's a mistake I made later on, paid for. Back to the moment I stand there damn near shitting my pants. Tyler and I listen in utter shock as this call comes from the northern mountain, then is answered by the same call from the southern mountain, then one from the west, answered by one from the east. So we are utterly shook as to what's happening. The tree shaking had ended about as soon as the calling started, and we just stood there trying to figure out what's going on. Then the coyote pack got louder and louder, like they knew where we were and honed in on us. Not knowing what I was invoking, I foolishly uttered the words, "These spirits, do they ever show themselves?" Yo. Like stepping into a bad dream, a mass of eyes opened up in the dark and looked back at me. All I could see was the glint in their eyes, the empty shine letting me know something was there. There was at least 30 or more eyes there in nonsensical positions. You'd find 2 over here, 3 there, 1 there, 5 there. The eyes appeared so strangely laid out that it appeared like some kind of concealed mass, peering back from 30 eyes, unblinking. Scared to my core, I say, "Okay, thank you. That's more than enough. Please stop." Then one by one, they blink out of the night and leave nothing but an empty space. Tyler and I didn't know what the fuck to do, so we rallied. We made sure nobody was going to be leaving the yard. As we weren't sure what was out there, the calls from the mountains didn't stop. Like they were beckoning us to go learn from them. Tyler knew what they were and named them, something I dare not do without snow on the ground. When he did this, a white dove flew out of the bush and perched on a wire, watching us from above. See, Tyler was always obsessed with shapeshifters. He was that native kid who'd throw them around as a joke, not knowing what he was invoking. He's been reprimanded since by some elders who know damn well better. He's smartened up since then, but he was about as sharp as a tree stump that night. He asked if we can go hike the mountains where the calls were coming from. He said they wanted us to come. And I said, hell the fuck no. And kept us in the sun deck at my brother's house. Eventually, dawn started breaking, and Tyler was so drunk he was falling down when he was going to take a piss. So I knew I had to walk him home safely, or he might not ever make it. People go missing all the time in our town. The lucky ones manage to get found post-mortem. Nobody knows what happens to the rest, but now I had an idea of what actually went on. The story more or less ends there. I walked Tyler back home safely, despite him being a tad embarrassed, and dawn finally broke. On my return to the house where all this happened, I heard one last call from the mountain behind the house. It came from the top of a pathway leading up. It was closer this time. I said a hearty, hell the fuck no, and returned to my brother's house for some much needed rest. I had no clue what I had just called into my life. End part 1.
Ooh.
We have a whole part 2 here, and I was instructed not to read it on the show, but it's much longer and more detailed than the first part, and I'm going to ask our listener if we can read it later on. But that's basically the story here, and she leaves a note after all of it. Hey, thanks for reading all of this, Skull Crawlers. Even if you don't do anything with it due to the serious nature of the story, if you enjoyed what I had to share, let me know. I'll type up my other experiences. I have a close encounter with a flying saucer,
Nice.
with multiple sightings of the same craft at different times. I have a story about a friend getting abducted while he was on the beach. I have stories about spirits in that town, which managed to reach out and cut Tyler on his arm, leaving a scar there to this day. I have tales of haunted dolls that followed a friend's family from Siberia, little people stealing and returning lost objects. I have a tale about a river where spirits show up at night if you're brave or stupid enough to test them. I have a story about how I was learning my medicine when I was young and caused a storm. I have another story about how I failed to use that power to stop a storm, and someone died as a result of my inaction. Lastly, I have a tale which I'm not sure I should tell, about how I killed a monster that was forming in the swampland behind my childhood house. It involves a ritual sacrifice, spirits showing up physically, psychic attacks in dreams, and a river turning to blood in the dead of winter, and a flood that destroyed my whole hometown as a direct result of my actions. Now you know why I hesitated to share these stories, but they're in your hands now. What you do with them is up to you. Warm regards from Nobody. Chills.
Shouts out to Nobody. That's
Shout out to Nobody.
That's insane, intense.
Yeah, and this is not an Are No Sleep creepypasta, guys. This is a listener story
Yeah.
that was emailed to us last week, and it's giving me chills. So there's that. I'm hoping that we get more.
Yeah.
So shout out to Nobody. Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to hear more.
Thank you.
No joke. Like, I'm so curious about that second story, but like all I keep thinking about is like just eyes everywhere.
Yeah. That's terrifying.
Haunting.
Yeah.
And the calls coming from the mountains
Mhm.
and the hisses coming from each side of the fences. Oh my goodness. Spooky stuff.
You think that's like
Spooky stuff.
Is that like that's Canada, right? Like that's got to be Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Great White North. Lots of mysteries up there.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's spooky stuff up there for sure. All right, Orrin, you're up.
All right. This is another listener story from Alan. Katie, I saw you react to haunted dolls. I'm sorry, this has to do with haunted dolls.
Oh no, No, it's literally like it's my literal worst fear.
Oh,
Haunted
no.
dolls. Like, I don't know. Can I say this about long legs? Can I spoil long legs?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been out a couple months.
All right. So like, I went and saw long legs, and like, I went in blind, had no idea. And then the fucking doll showed up,
Mm.
and I was so pissed. I leaned over to Kaylee and Starsky, and I was like, "You bitch! Like this, like I don't do this shit. Like I hate it. I hate haunted dolls." But okay, go ahead, Oren. I'm ready.
Okay.
Let's
All
go.
right. So this is from Alan. Alan writes, "Hey guys, so let me give you a little background about my girlfriend. We have been going out for 10 years. She can sense and see things. She doesn't tell me when she does. The reason is, and I quote, because I don't want you to do anything stupid, or I don't want you doing anything stupid," which relatable with my wife. So I will antagonize ghosts. We have footage of it. Yeah.
Yeah. You wonder why they don't
Yeah, right.
reveal themselves to Oren.
Okay. She told me a few years ago that the last place we lived had a spirit of an old man. Mind you, we haven't lived in that condo for 3 years now. Okay, so Peggy the Doll. I'm a huge fan of Ghost Adventures. I have watched every episode and watched every stupid spin-off show. Guilty pleasure times 1,000. My girlfriend and I were in Vegas early 2021, right when things started to reopen. I told her I wanted to go to Zach Bagans' Haunted Museum. She knew I'd ask, so she said, okay. I was so excited knowing what was inside that place, and I finally get to see it. I don't know if you guys have been there, but it's worth every penny. $45 for general admission, $75 for VIP. VIP, you get to go to certain parts of the museum, like the basement where there is still an ongoing investigation. And one part of the long tour, about an hour and 30-minute tour, you get to go into the room where Peggy the doll is displayed.
Hold on, let's pause really quick. So we already we got Katie shaking her head really hard about taking the VIP tour. Is this not something you'd be interested in?
Okay, so like, probably, but like, this is an active investigation. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on like what kind of investigation. If it's like demon shit, like I'm out.
Yeah.
But like, if it's ghosts,
Yeah,
like if
absolutely.
there's just ghosts fucking around down there, then yeah, I guess like I could go down there. But like,
Yeah, the ghost is goofing off. It's like, it's fine. But
no demons.
yeah.
Sounds like fun to me. I'm down. Oren, let's freaking go.
Yeah, I'm down.
Katie, you're invited.
All right, I'm coming. I can't just not go. So like, I'm in.
Alright, so Peggy Doll's displayed. I'm sure you guys know the legend of Peggy the Doll, so me being me, I walk in with just gleefully intentions. My girlfriend, before we go in, tells me, don't do anything stupid. First thing I do, I go right up to the glass and look in her eyes. I'd say for a good 20 seconds.
Wow.
Then I tell her, you're no Annabelle. There is a spirit box in the room so you can ask it questions. I heard a faint laugh after I told Peggy what I told her. My girlfriend and I walk out of the room. We had to wait right outside the room before going into the next area of the museum. I don't remember this happening, but my girlfriend told me I was standing by the door to Peggy's room, and my girlfriend said she kept feeling me going back into the room and that I kept looking into the room. She said she felt a slight pull on me and that I was giving off this energy she never felt before. Then she put her arm around my waist and pulled me to stand somewhere else. As soon as she moved me, I told her, I want to go back into the room. She said, I know, that's why I moved us. There's still like 45 to 30 minutes left of the tour. All I could think of was Peggy.
Oh my gosh. What the heck? This guy is obsessed with Peggy.
The next two nights. Oh, go ahead.
Hold on, Orrin. Yeah. Okay, so I'm sure. Did we talk about Peggy the doll?
I think
during
we
our doll
did.
Episode?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and read this this brief story about her. When a British paranormal investigator, Jane Harris, agreed to examine a supposedly possessed doll named Peggy, she probably didn't imagine that she would become one of its victims. A woman called Harris in 2015 and begged for help from the adorable doll she found in a garage sale, caused nightmares and a mystery illness. That's a weird sentence. Okay. Harris agreed to take Peggy, whom the buyer had locked in an outdoor shed. But just a few days into her investigation, she became too ill to leave her bed. Harris reportedly suffered from hallucinations and heard strange noises while Peggy was in her house. She didn't improve until a fellow paranormal investigator took the doll out of Harris's house. Psychics examined Peggy and attempting to understand the spirits possessing her. It is believed that the spirit of a London woman born in 1946 has attached itself to Peggy. That woman later died from a respiratory condition that physics assume was asthma. According to the Daily Mail, the psychics believe Peggy was restless, frustrated, and persecuted in life. So that's Peggy the doll. You can see her at Zach Baggins' Haunted Museum. So carry on, Orrin. Carry on.
Right. Alan goes on to write. Sorry, I hear too much of myself in the monitor. The next 2 nights, I dreamt of Peggy. One was Peggy sitting on the chair next to our window looking at us. The other was Peggy at the foot of our bed, again, just looking at us. I felt off for about a week. I finally told my girlfriend about the dreams. She said she sensed something wrong. Then the dreams stopped. I don't know if my girlfriend did something, but after I told her, everything stopped. We go to Vegas once a month to visit my girlfriend's elderly friend. Every time we go back, I want to go see Peggy. I don't tell my girlfriend, but I'm sure she knows. Because every time I tell her I want to go to the Haunted Museum, she tells me no. This incident makes me want to look for more things, and since then, weird things have happened at our house. But that's another story.
Oh my God.
One that freaked out my girlfriend's son, and I kind of made my girlfriend not scared, but alert. A few months ago, I saw something too. My girlfriend tells me it was nothing, but I think it's because she doesn't want me to look into it. Let me know if you want the other story. Thanks, guys. Keep up the awesome work. And that's from Alan.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a question for Alan. Like, one, great story, fantastic. Yes. But two, like, no Peggy, Alan. Like, no Peggy. No more Peggy. Off. Like, you're cut off. It's done. Like, I shouldn't have, but I definitely did, like, Google, like, a picture of Peggy, and, like, I could see, like, the allure.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Like, I got it. But, like, 1940s British woman, like, can you...
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Is it?
I'm not gonna insult her. I don't want to dream of her. Like, I don't want to fuck with her. Like, Peggy, like, you got your power, and, like, I respect it.
I knowing me, after what Cary read about her asthma, dying of asthma, I 100% know what I would say, and that's why I shouldn't be allowed in that room. And
go ahead, Orrin.
I was like, ahead. Dang, must suck to die with weak ass lungs. Died because of asthma.
Oh no!
That's why I'm not allowed in that museum.
Do you think that you would dream of her, Orrin?
I don't know.
Do you think she would haunt you? Like, do you think that, like, it could be your very first, like, tangible
paranormal like, I'm kind of like courting danger if I try. Like,
because now I'm kind of, like, interested in taking the tour.
Yeah. Maybe, like, I'm just, there's, like, a barrier, like, psychic barrier, and just nothing gets to me.
Like, maybe that's, like, your superpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Can anybody else not just see Peggy Hill every time you hear the name Peggy? I've never met a Peggy in my life. And so every time we hear Peggy the doll, I'm like, yeah, Peggy. You know, she's always talking to John Redcorn. Jahan Redcorn. She's like, Peggy? Anyway, funny stuff.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Orrin, is there more to that? Or is that it?
Yeah, I can read the second story Alan sent in.
Yeah, go ahead and read the second story. Yeah. Is it involving Peggy, or is it a continuation?
No, I think it's the since returning home that weird stuff started happening.
Go ahead and read that. That sounds good.
Let's see. Okay. Oh, it's the other two stories he hinted at. Okay. The first two things happened to my girlfriend's son, Zachary. The first incident was when he was 6 to 7 years old. He's going to be 16 this year. This is when we were living at our old condo, the one with the spirit of the old man. It was right after Christmas. I had gotten one of those small aluminum Millennium Falcon models for Christmas. My girlfriend and I were downstairs watching TV when we heard footsteps upstairs. At first, we thought it was a cat running around, but then we heard a loud thump and crying. It was Zachary. We got to the top of the stairs, and there he was chewing on the aluminum model, like full on eating it. My girlfriend grabs him and takes him to the bathroom. I go to the side of my bed, and pieces of the model trail to the bathroom. We had a Jack and Jill bathroom. Is that just like a bathroom connecting two rooms? Or what is that?
Yeah, it's like 2 rooms, so it's like 2 rooms that share one bathroom.
Oh, okay, gotcha. The trail of blood and model pieces went from my side of the bed through my girlfriend's side of the bathroom to mine and Zachary's side. I was like, what the fuck is going on? We washed his mouth out, gave him some water, and he went to sleep. My girlfriend took him to the doctors the next day, but he didn't remember a thing. To this day, we don't talk about it. I haven't mentioned it to him, but that was weird. And that's it. That's that one. And the second thing happened last year here at our current house. Zachary was sleeping in his room. I was in the office either editing or writing. My girlfriend was in the room watching TV. I finish what I'm doing and I go to the room. Zachary got up to go to the bathroom the same time I walked out of the office. I get to my bed, lay down, then I hear the bathroom door open a 3-second pause, and Zachary running to his room. My girlfriend was like, what the hell is he doing? Her cell phone rings, and Zachary crying his eyes out, telling her to go to his room. He is frantic. My girlfriend goes to his room, and they both come into our room. He is scared to death. I've never seen him like this. About 2 hours later, he is asleep in our room. My girlfriend finally tells me what happened. Apparently, when Zachary walked out of the bathroom, he heard someone whisper, shh, in his ear. He thought it was me standing behind him, but when he turned around and nobody was there, he freaked and ran to his room, which is like 4 feet away from the bathroom door. Now, what freaked my girlfriend out is this. As she was going to Zachary's room, she heard the top of her stairs creak like someone was walking down the stairs. But she was so focused on Zachary, she didn't go check. So I got up and tried to see if the stairs would creak when walking out of our room. Nothing. No creak. We have hardwood floors. To this day, again, we don't talk about that to Zachary. He is older and isn't as afraid of things, but we don't want anything to get into his head. Spooky.
Oof. Thanks for sharing, Alan.
Yeah.
That is horrifying.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alan.
Chills. Oh my gosh.
Oh, wait. I think there's more to that one. Yeah, there's a second part of that email. I'll go ahead and just read that. Here's what happened to me a few months back, and I think I was in a dark place. It was late at night, and I was in the kitchen. Zachary was in the den watching TV, and my girlfriend was upstairs. I was putting dishes away. As I was walking from the stove to the fridge, out of the corner of my eye, I saw my girlfriend sitting on the couch in the living room, looking at me with a weird smile, like the Grinch smile. It was for less than a second. As I got to the fridge, I stopped and looked at the couch. She wasn't there. I think, okay, maybe it was one of the dogs on the arm of the couch and it looked like someone was sitting there. No dogs. I go upstairs and ask my girlfriend if she was just downstairs. She tells me no. Then I think, there is no way she can make it up the stairs and into the room in 2 seconds. So I just went about my business, but it was bothering me. So as we were laying...
I imagine that it is, Alan. I'm sure that it's bothering you because it's bothering me.
So as we were lying down, I told her what I saw. She said it was nothing, but the way she told me it was like she knew it was something. I didn't make a big deal about it until I told a friend of mine, and she told me about mimic spirits. She sent me a few TikTok videos of some psychic that talks about paranormal things, and one of them is mimic spirits. So my thing is, whatever whispered shh in Zachary's ear mimics my voice. Then I see my girlfriend sitting on the couch when she isn't. We have a Furbo camera for our dogs. They are constantly barking at the stairs when we are gone. After that event, I just felt like a dark cloud over me. It's gone, but I still feel something is not right. If you want more, I got more, mainly from when I was a kid at my aunt's house and her stupid long hallway. That place is fucked, and even my girlfriend says she doesn't like it. Alan.
Oh, wow.
So thanks, Alan.
Okay. Alan, shout out. Dude, thank you so much. Yeah, we want more.
Yeah.
Thanks for sending them in. Also, check out Alan's YouTube, AEO Films. He is a filmmaker, and he's got some really cool spooky short films. And yeah, go check him out. He's a big fan of the Skull Crawlers, and he's been a supporter basically since day one.
It sounds like he's got a really spooky life too.
Yeah, no joke. Alan's poor Alan.
Yeah.
Cool. That's rad. Well, right on. Well, is there anything else you guys would like to talk about before we sign out?
Oh, speaking of, I mean, this is like hour later, but speaking of movies we watched, I watched VHS Beyond. I don't know if you guys checked that out yet.
I haven't.
have
How
not.
was it?
It's good. There's a theme to the movie where it's all alien or space themed except for one, and it's co-written and co-directed by Justin Long.
Nice.
So
Nice.
I'm not gonna say anything
We love
more.
Justin Long.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say anything more to spoil it, but like, it's awesome.
Heck yeah.
I'll have to
That's a
check
good
it out.
rec.
Very spooky, very practical effects, very gory. So
Okay.
Love it. Do you have any recs, Katie? Anything for the listeners to watch? Anything for us to watch?
You know what? Yes, I do. So it kind of depends on like if you're into this kind of thing. Like found footage type situation, but the one movie that like I have never ever been able to like be okay with, like I think about it constantly, like I've only watched it once, and maybe like I don't know, maybe I'm like a big baby, who knows. But the fourth kind really fucked me up.
oh,
And like I feel like if you want to be like fully disturbed, like that's a full, like that's a movie for you. Like you should watch The Fourth Kind.
yeah, that one's spooky. Have you seen that, Cary?
Yeah, I watched it one time. I was hanging out with this girl when I was like 19, so I don't really remember it at all. But I would like to watch it again, and I've heard that it is horrifying.
Oh, yeah.
So absolutely, I'm gonna watch it. And my rec, Salem's Lot. Go to Max, guys. Watch Salem's Lot. It's a good time. I have a deep fear of vampires because my older brother Justin, who was way bigger and stronger than me and still is to this day, used to hold me down and bite my neck. And there's something about somebody biting my neck and sucking my blood, and I cannot do a single thing about it. That just scares the crap out of me. So, Justin Cody, I'll remember that. I remember. I'll get you back. And go watch Salem's Lot. It's a fun time. So, other than that, yeah, like I said, we have a short film coming out later this month. It's exciting. It's Halloween 2024, and we're going to try to keep the pod going. So, shout out to Katie for coming on.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thanks
having
for-
me.
Thanks for coming back,
This was
dude.
super
Thanks for coming
fun.
on. This is exciting.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yeah, this is fun. Hopefully, we get some more listener stories. So, send those in, guys. Our email is attached to the YouTube. If you just go to the bottom of each video, you'll see our email, and you can just email our stories or DM us on Instagram, or we're on all the apps:
All the socials.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Grinder, PayPal. we're on all of them. So send us a message.
Please send UFO stories like aliens.
Yeah, we need some UFO stories.
Oh,
Those are good
you
ones.
guys wanted UFO stories? Shit.
Oh, you got one? Well, next episode we'll get you.
Next
Yeah,
episode.
we'll
next
get you.
episode.
Yeah.
We'll get you back on.
I'll write in. How about I write in?
Okay, that works.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Write them in. Perfect. Well, we're gonna go and sign us off.
All right. Thanks for tuning in. If you like the show, please rate and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, or your podcast app of choice. You can find us on Instagram, like we mentioned earlier, at the Skull Crawlers, on Twitter at _Skull Crawlers, and YouTube by searching for the Skull Crawlers Movie Club or going to bit.ly/Skull Crawlers. And as always, sleep with one eye open because you never know who's watching. Good night.
And thanks for wearing your brown pants. Katie, you got any last words? Famous last words?
The famous last words, if you don't subscribe, like, to the Skull Crawlers, like, I'm coming for you.
You're dead to me.
You're dead
I'm just
to
kidding.
me.
We love you guys.
All right. Peace.
Good night.